In order to enter a Danish home, you always have to have coffee. So by the end of the day, when we've been visiting like 8-10 houses, you are speeded up on coffee and sometimes also cake.
Yeah, it's the hygge.
Yeah, it's the hygge, exactly. We are at the Lanoba warehouse. I'm Lars, I'm from Denmark. I started the business in 2016 with my husband David in a location in downtown Jersey City, 150 Bay Street. That's a big art house. We had like our bed over in the corner, and then it was stacked up to the ceiling with furniture there. So we had like 300 pieces of furniture in our little loft space. Every little piece of furniture we took into our kitchen and we started refurbishing it there, and then once that piece was done we moved it out and took another piece into the kitchen and did all the refurbishing in our little kitchen we had there. After like a year and a half we had enough clients and customers to move down to our current space on 18th Street in Jersey City, just by the Holland Tunnel, and we've been here for about 6 years now. And here we do everything. We refurbish, we have the showroom, we have our warehouse. So my family always done antiques, and especially my brother. My brother is a little bit older than me, so when I was a teenager and was finished with school, I went over and helped him at his workshop, and he taught me how to do the refurbishing and things. But earlier than then, also like my family, they took me always to flea markets and things. Like every weekend we went somewhere and just buying antiques and things. So I was taught from child to do all the refurbishing. I started college, university. I haven't done anything with furniture since. So David and I, we moved to Peru and was living down there for 3 years. David was working for a Danish company down there. After the 3 years, we had to decide if we wanted to go back to Denmark or if we wanted to go somewhere else and continue our adventures. David is from Chicago, so we decided to go back to Chicago and see what kind of adventures were coming up there. And because I love flea markets, we went to estate sales and things in Chicago and the Chicago area, and there's a lot of Scandinavians living in that area, so a lot of the estate sales had like old Danish furniture and knickknacks and things like that. And I saw there was a super high demand for Danish modern furniture. Everybody was just like hawks and screaming and wanted all the pieces. And I asked some of the people at the estate sales, like why is it so popular? Or like if you have any Danish furniture, just like give them to us. Like we want to sell it because we can't get enough. It's like, oh, that's interesting. It's like, I can go to Denmark and get all these pieces of furniture and ship it over here if there's this high demand for them. So I was talking with my husband David. It's like, is that something we want to try? It's like, well, let's do some more research. So we did some more research, and we went around the country to figure out where we're going to be and where we're going to set up this business if we're going to do it. So we came to New York and found out that in New York it's mainly like high-end design pieces that's going to be sold like in the antique stores and things. Nobody was really covering the middle class, the democratic, like we call Danish modern design democratic furniture, because it should be available to most people. But the pieces of Danish modern that was here in the US were like chairs for $10,000-$15,000, like the really, really expensive high-end pieces. Nobody did what we were doing. So it's like, there must be a gap in the market here. So it's like, let's do New York. And now we're here. The first month we sold a footstool for $50, and I was like, oh my God, what have I done? So slowly we just like sold a little bit more and more and more and more and more, and like eventually we could actually cover our rent, and that was like the turning point. We were very happy that month. And then since we've just been growing, and now we bring over about 2,500 pieces of furniture per year, and so far we are more than 14,000 pieces we brought over to the US, and most of the pieces, probably 95%, is sold to like the greater New York area. So we get about between 7 and 9 containers a year, so every 6 to 8 weeks we get a shipment in from Denmark. So so far this year we have like 3 containers, and we are early April now. So the first container we got in was literally me just walking around certain neighborhoods where all the baby boomers were living. They're downsizing, moving out to smaller apartments and things. Just like meeting people random on the street and grocery stores, or just knocking on doors, asking about if they have old furniture. Most people were happy to get rid of some of all these pieces of furniture, so we just went on a treasure hunt in their houses and found all the pieces. It took me 3.5 months to fill up a container, so it took a long time with the first container. But now it's like becoming more like word of mouth. I have a big network also now. Like people call me, they write me, and it's like, you bought something from my neighbor or family member, and we also do have some pieces that might be interesting for you. Do you want to come and have a look at them? And so now I have a big plan. Like when I usually go to Denmark like 4 times a year for like a 3-week period, and I have like a long list of houses and people I'm gonna visit and find all the pieces. So we just go into their houses, find all the pieces. Some pieces I leave behind because it's not something that we will be able to sell, and other pieces we take with us and ship over to the US. So a container usually have like about 250 to 300 pieces of furniture.
It definitely sounds like a treasure hunt.
It is a big treasure hunt, and it's fun, but like in order to enter a Danish home you always have to have coffee. So by the end of the day, when we've been visiting like 8-10 houses, you are speeded up on coffee and sometimes also cake. Yeah, it's the hygge, exactly, yeah. So it's like coffee and cake rush. So when we ship them over here, we do a full refurbishing. So a lot of dealers, they just like give them a little bit of oil and then they call that refurbished. But we actually do a full refurbishing. So we go through the piece, we deep clean them, we oil them, we sand them, repair them, whatever it takes to bring them back to how they're made about 70 years ago. So that's the process. And then we get them into our showroom, and most of the times the pieces sell directly from our showroom. We don't even get to take pictures of them and upload them to our website. So yeah, about 10-15% makes it online, but most of the pieces are sold here locally at our warehouse, with people coming visit us on the weekends. I'm against like you buy a piece of furniture just for the functionality. You need to have something that's gonna last and be with you for the next maybe 10-15 years and even longer. So for me, I think it's very important that the piece speaks to you. It's not just something you need to solve an issue, it needs to give you something. So I think the most important is if it speaks to your heart. And then I think the older the pieces are, like pieces that's made like late 40s, 50s are the pieces that's more valuable. It's all handmade, or most of them is handmade after old tradition, because the Danish society was not industrialized and we just came out of the Second World War. So everything was kind of done like they'd done before Second World War, like by hand. They didn't just put wood into like one end of a machine and out came a piece of furniture on the other end. Over here in the refurbished area, there's not really any of my super favorite pieces right now, so we have to go over to the unrefurbished area. This is our unrefurbished area. So this is how the pieces look like when we get them in the homes in Denmark. So nothing in here has been refurbished, but we just got a new shipment in. So this is where all the very exciting pieces are. It's also the pieces that's gonna like be sold like the first weekend, because we have a lot of collectors coming in and they are just like hawks and they're just gonna grab it all so like have a very super funky desk here. by a very famous Danish designer, Svend Aage Madsen. He's very famous for his desk designs, and like I really like how the way the legs are like designed, how it's holding up the whole piece. He is just like the Godfather, the Gucci of desk designs. So like this is one of my favorite pieces right now. I also do like these nesting tables made by Helper Møbler. They're actually a company that's made that's in my hometown, Fredericia. That's where they produced all these pieces. I just like the organic shapes and everything about it. And nesting tables, like you have in Danish modern functionality as a keyword, because you have very small homes, so you need to have that functionality. So you have nesting tables, like they are nesting in together, so sometimes you need an extra table and then you can just pull them out and then put it somewhere else and put your coffee and your cake and things like that. So nesting tables here, these designs or this design of nesting tables are just like super nice. And then my super favorite piece here right now is this credenza made by Ib Kofod Larsen. It has tambour doors that opens up both on the top on the bottom here, and it's just so well made. So like when you close the tambour doors, you can't really see it's a tambour door. It just looks like it's one piece of wood. But a tambour door, it actually goes around here and hides behind. But the whole aesthetic and the whole design of this piece is just spectacular. One of my other favorites are these coffee tables. Original, there's a guy called Johannes Andersen. He made a coffee table called the Smile, and then a lot of other producers in Denmark made similar tables. So like they have this lip here, it's kind of like a coffee table that's smiling. So these two is like smiling coffee tables, and I think they are so funky. It's so well made, and when I find these pieces, I'm getting really excited because I really love those designs. This is a credenza I found on my recent trip. I was in Denmark in January, and this one just came in. It's a double stack credenza, so you have the low part and the top part here. And we found it in a basement. Actually, I was second in line because the woman, she already sold it to somebody else, but he never showed up. So she called me and said like, well, the guy I really sold it to, he never showed up, so it's still available, do you want it? I jumped in the car, I was there within 20 minutes and we took it out. The woman, she was 72 years old and she helped me carry it out from her basement. She was just like strong because I was just by myself, so I couldn't really get it out. Her daughter was there, but she's like, I can't do it. And then the 70-year-old woman's like, well, I can do it. Like she's like an old farmer lady, and she's like, yeah, well, I've been doing a lot of field works and blah blah blah. It's like I have still my muscles, so she took it almost just on her shoulder and carried it out from the basement. But yeah, this piece is just super spectacular. It just has so many super nice details, and we never had a double stack piece like this. It's an extremely rare piece that you find in Danish modern design. A lot of our customers are asking for dry bars, like standalone dry bars, but it doesn't really exist in Danish modern. What was common was to have like a credenza where you would have a built-in dry bar, or a corner cabinet. So you would have a thing like this over in the corner, and it's actually like a dry bar. So you have room for bottles and things here, and then in here you could have your glass and silverware, and down here you could have like whatever you need to mix to use to mix the drinks and things. And then you just lock it up, and then it has a key so the kids can't get into it when you're not using it, and then it's just standing over in the corner and being very nice. So like I really like this design. This is a rosewood piece. Again, it's not been refurbished, but yeah, really nice. The details inside is just spectacular.
Okay, rapid fire questions.
Yes.
Danish couch, credenza, or chair, and why?
So definitely chairs. If there's a keyword in Danish modern design, it's chairs. That's where all the design really evolved around. That's what really kickstarted the Danish modern design, was the chair design. There is some spectacular designs of chairs, so definitely chairs. Couches and things we don't bring over because the upholstery work and things, it always needs to be done after 70 years, and it's bloody expensive to do upholstery and things. So by the end of the day, if we're bringing couches over, we need to charge like at least $4,000 for like a basic couch, and that's not possible just because of the upholstery work. So chairs, 100%.
Plastic, wood, or metal, and why?
So that's super easy because Danish modern is wood, wood, and wood. 95% is made of teak and 5% is made of rosewood. You don't find really plastic or anything else in the design. Like there's a few designers that used a little bit of metal and things. Arne Jacobsen was one of them, but mainly it is wood. So 100% wood, and it's also much more pleasing for me personally to work with wood than anything else.
Best furniture designer of all time?
They're all the best furniture designers. I can't really say that I have one favorite designer. I might have periods where I'm more into like a certain designer, but pretty much like I love all the designers, and there's so many of them. It's just not like a handful of designers. There's hundreds of designers and I love them all.
Lars, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming visit Lanoba.
I can